What up, YouTube? It's Manifesting Fries, and this is a response video to Hard Day Times leaving PC gaming because he can't wait a few months for a game to come out. And honestly, I don't consider Hard Day a real PC gamer. I really don't, because I was on the Steam friends list, like literally. Like if I log into my Steam account right now and he had to remove me, like we could go through his whole library and find like no PC exclusive. I never saw this man playing one PC exclusive at all. I heard a console gamer saying, "Oh, you didn't." He said you were never a PC gamer. You just had, a souped-up console, which is right. I moved over to PC for reasons better. I mean, well, I'm not really gonna say better, but for more reasons than graphics and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I already said he's an attention to detail whore. I'm in Dr. Trey's video. He said that these bandwagoners that at the end of the console generation or towards the middle to the end of the console generation, they get on the PC gaming bandwagon because the graphics on the console are substantially decreased, and they want the better graphics, so that's pretty much why they go over there. So Hardy, he isn't a real PC gamer to me, man. He really isn't. Uh, if you got some shit to say about that, it don't take no shit to message me. You want to debate on this YouTube shit? I keep on making videos after and after exposing you. Like, dude, you was not a real PC gamer at all. I don't know why you want to debate now, because you don't have a fucking PC. So there you go, right there. But okay, here are some reasons why developers take loans or port games from console to PC. What people don't realize is that developers don't have to sell as many copies as they would on a PC to make the same amount of money as they would, as far as consoles are concerned. So all this stuff talking about how consoles are where the money is at, I can tell by the way that that what this list says that's incorrect. Because I know when people say that consoles are where money is, like they'll make 80 money from PC. That's pretty much what you guys are saying. Because I went to this video, I saw nothing but a bunch of PC hating. People talking about something they don't have any idea about. And that's what really gets the elitists in me going. You know what I'm saying? Like, people talking about things they don't have any idea about. Like, this one comment somebody said, you buy a wall system, and then 2 years later, you got to upgrade just to keep up. Hitman Absolution. You can run that game with the 8800 GT and the Intel Core 2 Duo. This is old tech, man. Now, on to the reasons. Adapting controls and gameplay. When you are playing on the console, this alone puts certain limitations on what you can do, since all the user has is a gamepad. Just creating one-to-one mapping between keyboard keys and controller inputs is not always a good idea. If even possible, sometimes it takes longer to figure out a good solution. And you could say, well, they don't use a mouse keyboard playing Grand Theft Auto. Well, let's bring in different controllers that are on PC. But I'm just gonna say keyboard now because those controllers options can be adjusted. And a lot of people they want to play, third-person shooter with mouse and keyboard, or just keyboard period. You can play without the mouse. Hardware abstraction and fragmentation. When we develop for a Wii U, you know exactly how a Wii U behaves because all Wii U's are identical. This is not true for PCs. You have many different graphics cards and CPUs, and sometimes something won't work on some of them. It takes a lot of testing to uncover these bugs, and fixing them also takes time. This is why NVIDIA releases drivers for specific graphics cards because why? This is not true for PCs. You have many different graphics cards and CPUs, and sometimes something won't work on some of them. It takes a lot of testing to uncover these bugs, and fixing them also takes time. This is why graphics drivers improve performance. You add upon what the developers have already done. Improving assets. With a console, you have a fixed target, so you write shaders, everything in common to match that target. On a PC, some graphics cards support more advanced features, and maybe you want that to use a better shader for those. Well, that means you have to write that shader. That sounds to me like extra work, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty much about extra work. Like that was the kind of explanation I was looking for. Not no PCs are irrelevant or consoles are where the money is at. At the end of the day, if these businesses are really about making their money, they're gonna make games for all platforms. Even Final Fantasy had a release on PC. Final Fantasy 14, The Realm Reborn is on PC. This is not the economy to say fuck PC. Alright, platform specific stuff. Console SDKs may have a lot of convenient features that don't map over easily to a PC. For example, it might provide access to hardware timers or a good sound API. Those things are usually available on PCs. You need to use other ways of accomplishing those things. Maybe that changes how you have to extract the platform differences. And here's another thing I want to bring up too. Not heard, but I read another YouTuber sell his console gamer. He was a PC gamer that you're pretty much beta testing the game for PC gamers. You know. And there's apparently truth in that. Once they develop it for PC, there is extensive testing done in-house by the devs, but it also can be reliant on beta testing from users for upwards of a couple of weeks to a few months. This outsourcing of tests is with beta players before the port to PC is officially released. It's typically why you see the gap on release dates between console and PC. That sounds to me like you console gamers are beta testing the game for us. Thank you. And if, you know, you pretty much beta testing the game for us. Typically why you use the gap on release dates. No, I'm sorry. This outsourcing of tasks with beta players before the port to PC is officially released is typically why you see the gap on release dates. So consoles and PC. Beta testers. Porting a code to a new platform takes time. Creating a nanosecond timer for Xbox 360 I've never developed in XNA, this person is saying, is going to need a different implementation than the same nanosecond timer in Linux, Mac, or Windows. Now imagine you have hundreds of these types of functions that need porting. Thousands. If the engine is massive enough, it can easily take a month or two of coding to add in these different implementations for the new platforms. On top of this, you can't always use the same libraries on Xbox 360 as you can on Windows, PlayStation 3, or some other platform. This means you potentially have to use a whole new library to do the same thing you did on the Xbox 360 version. There are all these kinds of things that add up into a large amount of time. porting to a new platform is really easy for large AAA titles. I mean, I don't even have to like add my 2 cents to this, because this shit is right here. This is letting you motherfuckers know what's up. Usually, games will just tweak their game devs will just tweak their engine to maximize quality and performance on each console. When they dive into the PC, there are other problems. Consoles are homogeneous, meaning all consoles have the same hardware. All PS3s have the same hardware performance. When you to make your game for PC, you target a minimum spec, but you also allow the user to increase quality for more powerful PCs. Games targeted for PCs are less optimized, but are easier to make for programmers. If you're a gamer right now, you're on YouTube, you don't know it's easier to make games on PC, then you're posing. You're like the equivalent of somebody who go to the store and buys a console for their child and never plays the console once. So games are less optimized. So Rockstar wants to try to narrow that gap. Programming on consoles, one advantage, it allows programmers to maximize performance in any console game will always perform nicely. On a PC it's worse because there's a lot of hardware out there, but granted it's more freedom. The best resulting looking game will always be on PC because PC is always at the bleeding edge at a cost. Porting a game from console to PC can be tricky because consoles are designed for game performance while PCs are not, but overall it's far easier to port a game from console to PC than the opposite because consoles have very much less memory, something like 2 or 4 times less. We saw that this generation. Now you can't sit there and say when I'm reading this bullshit. We saw that this generation. Look at Battlefield 3. Ported from PC to 360. HD texture packs, people. We need that. What about some other games? Ported from PC to console. I think the original Crisis had a lot of problems too. Damn, now I think about it, it's not too many games that was ported from PC to console. But we've seen that this generation with Battlefield 3. Okay. Changing the code to adapt to this memory restriction will most likely always mean a complete reprogramming. I don't think it's hard to port a game from console to PC. It's just a matter of API companies and programmers who work only with consoles will have a hard time porting to PC because they're not used to it. The makers of Destiny are planning on releasing the game on PC. They are. They've heard the outcry. And they're saying that we're going to focus on the consoles first. What's the last fucking PC game Bungie has ever made? Can somebody tell me that? Well, I think like the last time I actually dealt with PC hardware was Halo 2. 2-3 generations ago. Like this article was not bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because they are not used to it. But also because they constantly adapt the console API. So that means their code will often answer the console compiler restriction and not necessarily care for PC APIs. Of course, engines can be programmed to run on all consoles and PCs. Once it's done, it's better than telling your programmers to port the engine to PC after they've been told it was never planned for 3 or 4 years. Read that over again. Of course, engines can be programmed to run on all consoles and PCs. Once it's done, it's easier. It is better than telling your program to support the engine of the PC after they've been told it was never planned for 3 or 4 years. PCs are heterogeneous, and hardware and API constantly evolves. Costs are spread between programming and hardware building, which are compromises. One good thing would be to allow all hardware to run everything, but console prices are compensated because game companies pays console manufacturers a license, so they lock their hardware to run. Only game companies who pay. It's messy. So there you go. You have a full ongoing explanation of why Rockstar always takes so long, or why ports period take long to go to PCs. And I have, you know what I'm saying, you go to Icyrhythms channel on YouTube. I will leave his channel in the description, and he has a video, and he has an article, and the Destiny developers were inquired about bringing Destiny to PC. This, what I just read, has been confirmed with shit that I've heard recently. And then with it's hard to port games from console to PC. Like Battlefield 3, for instance. That instance was so terrible, I don't even know if it's necessary to mention another one. There's probably people out there who ask them, go look it up online, hell, on YouTube. But, I'm going to address the NBA 2K14, why PC getting the next gen version of that. Well, $2K has never really been that demanding of a game. Even when you compare it to Grand Theft Auto. Like, it's never been that demanding of a game. So you probably got fans that are still playing that game running minimum spec rigs. You know. So they want to make sure that those fans can play the game on the older hardware. So also, when you think about the time frame that we have, everybody who was getting the PS4 is getting this game and playing this game, I should say, because Sony's selling games, you know, early, or retailers or whatever. Like, what should I say? But they're getting this game later. You know? They're getting this game later. And the focus, because it's x86 now, you know, they're getting this game later, and 2K has to compete with, you know, a lot of freshness. So they want to do the best they can. They don't want to port this stuff over from 360. They want to just focus on the next gen console. So that's the explanation to why. I'm trying to think of something else. You know what I'm saying? God, this video's long, like 20 minutes. They probably, you know, don't want to make the PC version, because the PC has the next gen version. I mean, how would the game sell on next gen consoles? Because when you think about it, You could easily buy a PC that could max out 2K14 for the same price as a next gen console. And then they paid Sony and Microsoft to publish games on their platform, and nobody's buying it because they can easily just build them a PC. Because you spend that much money now, as far as Xbox One is concerned, the amount of money I spend on Xbox One, I can spend that money right now and get a PC that will max out Battlefield 4 at 1080p. So they want to guarantee those sales. You know, it's not like PC is this bad platform that these developers don't care about. Because at the end of the day, they have the option, you know, to say, we don't care, Sony. Make your platform power. If you can make your platform power PC, we don't care. But they wanted Sony to make their platform x86 because the PC, and this stuff is in regards to like porting, you know what I'm saying? It's some extra work you gotta do, but it's always easier to develop on PC. Always. So it's not like they don't like PC, you know? It just takes more effort. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this video up. And as I always say, elitist doctrine. I think about that one for a little bit.